Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. Today, I have an exclusive interview with an author of an awesome book. You're going to have to go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You're going to have to get yourself a copy. The title of the book is called Our Patriotic Nightmare. If you go to Amazon, you can read like the first few pages of it, which basically it's the author talking a little bit about himself and the things that he grew up with and stuff like that. It's a really good book. You have to get it. Without further ado, hello, how you doing, Sergeant?
I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome, of course. I am awesome. Loving it. I woke up today. That's all that matters. I woke up.
Right? Yeah, I made it through another day too. So mission accomplished.
Yes, yes. All right. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am just a broke single father from Pennsylvania. I want people to know that, I'm not a college educated person. I'm not a person who I'm not an expert in things. I'm just a normal everyday American that's struggling just to get through another day. My father was a U.S. Was a soldier in the army. My mother is an immigrant from Germany. I grew up all over the world. I had a chance to see the world at a young age. We went all over Europe, over Hawaii, all over America. So I was well traveled as a kid. Unfortunately, as an adult, I really wasn't able to do much of the same just because it seems like as time goes on, it's even harder to get through just one day in America right now.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. Now, you wrote a book titled Our Patriotic Nightmare. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the idea for the book I had while watching a show, actually. It's called Sons of Liberty. It's actually the story of the idea that when people talk about the forming of our country, they think of, the founding fathers, the signature on the Declaration of Independence, but nobody really talks about the idea that a couple guys in Boston had, that they believed in so much that they were willing to unite an entire country to overcome oppression, which at the time was the British. And they believed in this so much, they were willing to put their lives on the line in order to unite like never before in order for us to even have the country that we're in. And with everything that was going on, and I had the idea for the book, it was right after the whole January 6th episode at the Capitol. And I realized that this country it's more divided than ever. And, back in the day, they used to say, united we stand, divided we fall. Well, that saying rings true today. I say united we flourish, divided we perish. Because a united country is basically unstoppable and can accomplish anything. But a divided country, if you look anywhere in history throughout the world, a divided country, a divided society fails every single time. So maybe it's time for us, the people of America, to stop waiting for the government to unite us, because they can't even at this point unite themselves. Maybe the people need to take responsibility and say, look, we need to do something to make this country better. We need to stop all the hate. We need to stop all the nonsense. We need to stop all the judgment, the oppression. Everything in America is just, it kind of goes against what we were supposed to be. We were supposed to be this country you go to for freedom. If you wanted freedom, you go to America. Okay. If you wanted a better life, you go to America. That is the entire precipice of that's the entire concept. And now I can't believe what I'm seeing. We want to be a country where people will come to have freedom, but at the same time, we're trying to build walls and tell people they can't come in anymore just because. No real reason, you just can't come in anymore. No actual reason why. Instead of helping people become citizens, we're deporting them. And it's just, I don't see the unity. I don't see the unity amongst the people. I don't see the unity amongst the government anymore. And I just got sick of it to the point where I had an idea that when I had this idea, I was laying on the couch, I had a broken leg. Okay. I was 80 pounds heavier when the idea hit me. I jumped off the couch and literally screamed out loud on one leg, I'm going to write a book. My whole family thought I was insane. So I hopped over my laptop and started typing. And 35 pages later, I realized I was kind of onto something here. And I believe that unity, the simple concept of unity in America is what could save this country.
I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree. As you know, I wrote a book called The Red Herring Effect.
Yes.
And I briefly talk about the division that this country is in. And it's because of all the red herrings, and thus the title, The Red Herring Effect,
Mm-hmm.
that all these red herrings have. And basically, when you have the left and the right throwing all this propaganda out there, you have mainstream media throwing this propaganda out there, you have corporations throwing this propaganda out there. They want us to be divided, because if we're divided and we're bickering and we're fighting and we're arguing and we can't come together on a consensus for anything, then we're distracted from what they're doing behind closed doors.
And I'm actually glad you said that, because the one thing that I feel the Trump regime, I'm not going to call him an ex-president. I can't. The guy is an embarrassment to this country. The one thing he created, now Obama came in and he gave people the one thing we need more than food, air, and water. We need hope more than anything to survive as a people. If you have no hope, and I speak from experience, when you get to a place where there is absolutely no hope to live, nothing else matters. Now, Obama, I think, gave us that hope because he told us what was going on. You know what I mean? If there was a situation, he handled it, and he handled it well. And then when Trump came in, he created uncertainty. Uncertainty, in turn, creates fear. Okay, now fear then turns around and creates anger. Anger creates hate, and then hate creates violence. It's a complete domino effect. If we remove the uncertainty from the equation, it will take care of a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. Okay? People have no idea what to think. They have no idea what to believe. They're believing lies after they see the truth. Like, it's beyond maddening to see how scared people are just because they're believing ridiculous stuff on the internet. And I think it's about time for some of us that want to eliminate some of these things, eliminate some of this uncertainty and fear and anger. I think it's time for us to speak up and be louder than them. Like, look, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? But I think as a people, though, you know, America's greatest strength, what gives America power above all else, is the diversity of its people. That is what makes America great, not some laws, or not, you know, we're going to do this for this group of people, we're going to do this for this group of people. Okay. America is great because we have people from all over the world here living as free people. But at the same time, now we are being, like I told you earlier, let's go real quick. The definition of freedom. Okay. The definition of freedom is the ability to live your life the way you see fit without the fear of persecution, or today we call it oppression. Now, based on that definition, right out of the dictionary, we are not a free country because people are being oppressed left and right. And oppression and freedom cannot coexist in the same society. Do you want to be a free country, or do you want to be an oppressive country? Okay. If we want to be an oppressive country, I would leave the country. I can't believe in 2022 that we still have so much hate towards people just because of what they look like or where they're from. You know what I mean? Nobody's even taking the time to ask that person a question. Get to know that person. Have a random conversation with a stranger that you don't know. Learn about them. You know what I mean? People are so caught up on, okay, I just go to labels. Like, people are so caught up on these labels. Okay, right now you're either you're a Republican or Democrat. You're either on the left or you're on the right. You're either a conservative or you're a liberal. You know, you're either this sex, you're either this color, you're either this religion, you're either this whatever. And it seems like all we're doing is trying to find ways to oppress people, and that's all labels do. They put people in categories, and then you generalize that entire category even though that person may not fit completely in there. But because they are labeled that, you're going to completely assume they're just like everybody else in that label. You understand what I mean? And it's unfair to that person for you to say, well, because they look like that, I shouldn't talk to them because so and so, or I read online this. Like, that is ridiculous. And people need to stop being afraid of one another. Fear is our worst enemy. Remember, the only thing to fear is fear itself. That is exactly right. We are a country of afraid people. We are a country of just people that are terrified and they don't want to admit it. And I think, like I said, man, it's either going to be you want to be free or do you want to oppress? Okay, you can't do both. And if you want freedom for all Americans, not just your Americans. Okay, you want freedom for everybody. Right. That's how America works. You come to America, you get freedom. Okay, you don't get this kind of freedom and then I get a different kind of freedom. That's not how it's supposed to work. You know what I mean? But society is deemed it otherwise.
Now, I'm going to push back a little bit.
See, sorry, good.
Oh, that's all right. I don't have a problem with labels. What I have a problem is when the labels are weaponized.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. That actually probably is a little bit better fit to what I'm trying to say.
Right. It's kind of like the religion. I have no problem with anyone else's choice to believe or not to believe.
Right.
But when you weaponize that religion and you're slamming it down my throat saying I have to live that way because my book says that, then now that weaponization of it is what I dislike.
Right.
So, and that's what I kind of break down in my book, the forms of systemic discrimination that we have in this country, where both the left and the right allow it, if not propagate it, to continue because money is being made off of it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, they say money is the root of all evil. Well, in this case, guess what? It is, because corporations profit off of systemic discrimination in some form or another. And let me be very clear. When I say systemic discrimination, I'm not atoning to just one form of systemic discrimination. There's a multitude of forms. There's racism, there's misogyny, there's bigotry, there's poverty, there's sexism, there's ageism, there's classism. There's a multitude of forms of discrimination. And corporations utilize that to profit. Our politicians write laws to protect the corporations to allow them to do so. And that's where the problem is. Corporatism. That's why we have all of these problems. The corporations keep us divided via the Congress.
And I explain in my book too. It's not hard to find out, but in this country, 80% of the wealth of America is controlled by 20% of the population. Okay, so do the math: 350 million people. 80% of that 350 million people, including myself, are struggling over 20% of the money, while the rest of them get to live their best lives. Now, I'm not saying because they earned their money, they should just give it away or whatever, but there's so much good that can be done. And in my book proposes a insane plan, in saying, you know what, it's time for the rich and the poor to work together. Because just because we're poor doesn't mean we don't have good ideas. We just don't have opportunity. You know what I mean? We try and create our own opportunity, and most of mine are blown up in my face, but I continue to go forward.
I wanted to ask,
and not just rich, poor, but I'm talking races too, black, white, and everything, men, women, any whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got to get over the past. At some point, the past we got to say, this is the day we stop living the past and we move forward and build something better. There's got to be a time where we say enough is enough. We're done with all the bullshit. We're tired of all the racism. If you guys want to be racist, go do it somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's time to end it. And somebody has to speak up. I'm not saying it's me because I'm a nobody. That's why I, Sergeant Nobody. So but at the same time, I feel as a nobody who's lived a real American life, you know what I mean? I've had money. I've been poor. I have kids. I've been married. I'm a single father. You know what I mean? My mother's an immigrant. My father's a U.S. soldier. My kids are Mexican. Most of my kids are gay. Like, I'm a real American. That's what real Americans are. We live life. We don't, like, it's okay. There's got to come a point in time where, like you said, religion, race, gender, who gives a shit? Like, it's not important. Okay. We have a country literally dying around us, and we are worried about what color people are. And Jesus, come on, you guys are killing me with this stuff. But it's got, maybe today's the day. Maybe today's the day we say, look, enough is enough. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to perpetuate the hate. We're not going to perpetuate the racism. And people do it unintentionally online by retweeting stuff. Like, maybe they retweet a Trump tweet or something, and they don't understand they're perpetuating that ridiculousness.
Right.
Even though they're against it, they're putting it in somebody else's eyes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we've got to somehow turn it around to where it's not lying, because 90% of the stuff I see online politically is propaganda anymore. I mean,
right.
I didn't see a single Republican propose a solution during this midterm. I did not. I looked and looked and looked, and all I saw was pointing fingers. They did this and they did this, and then their solution was vote for us and we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I would type on their Twitter feed. I'd be, okay. Well, how? How are you going to fix it? That's great. You know, I wish it was as easy as if you vote for that guy, magically everything's better. I wish it was like that. Yeah. But we have to start thinking about what's best for this country. And politicians have got to stop putting their own selfish needs in front of 350 million people's well-being. It's absurd. And I'm speaking as somebody who is literally, I drive DoorDash just to pay for what I need. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a wealthy person. It's me, my mother, and my son, my two dogs. My daughter's in college. You know, we struggle just to get through one day. Now, you're saying because I've made mistakes in life and I didn't have the same opportunity, or maybe I wasn't born into the right family, that I shouldn't have the same opportunity to have a good life as you? Just because maybe you went to a better school, or maybe you were born into a wealthy family, doesn't make you better than me. Maybe it probably makes you worse than me, because you don't know what real life in America is. I do. It's all over my book.
I know. I wonder.
Sorry, I get heated.
That's all right. No, you're about it. Don't. I get on the soapbox myself, so don't worry about that. I want to ask you, when you said 80% of the wealth is controlled by 20% of the people, where'd you get that stat?
I'd have to look it up. There was a couple different places. It depends on where you look. The numbers are different, but well, I know you went into a little bit deeper with me when we talked earlier. But it's basically just online, anywhere I could find when I was doing my research.
Okay, because
the number actually gets.
I know when I did my book, 91% of the wealth is controlled by less than 10% of the population.
What I was going to say is the higher up you go on that ladder, the more the number gets skewed. So like you said, the higher that 10% actually controls a large chunk of that 80 or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, the higher the ladder you go, the bigger the percentages of what they have. So
right, because I did an in-depth research because I wanted to know how much monetary transactions occurred in this country.
Right.
Because you're not going to find any one source that's going to give you how much financial transactions occur in this country. Because if they did, then people would be like, well, how do you figure the GDP? Well, there's equations for that, and they all come out to about the same. Mm-hmm. And none of it includes business to business transactions.
Right.
Okay. According to the GDP, we only have about $20+ trillion in this country. That's our gross national product. I'm telling you, it's a lie. Mm. Because if that were the case, then the top 1,000 businesses, which had over 40 trillion in transactions and had 12 trillion in profit, where'd they get that money?
Yeah.
Okay. We have over $100 trillion in transactions in this country. And yet, people that work paycheck to paycheck only account for 5% of all those transactions via payroll.
And I like how now, keep in mind, my book is not, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not an expert on anything. My book is basic. I wrote my book, like, I like reading very detailed information, I do, but I wrote my book for the person that I try and explain things in a way that everybody can understand. You know what I mean?
The layman.
Yeah.
So
And my book's not about, numbers and charts and graphs and all that stuff. It's about real life experience and the opinions I've formed based on that experience. And then, like I said, just numbers that people can comprehend, but I don't want to get too detailed with it, which I normally do. I wanted to keep it not basic, but I wanted to keep it entertaining, but still informative, I guess.
Yeah. We got a question or a statement from someone in the audience. I am most concerned that we remain vigilant because the Christo-fascists are very rich, have infiltrated SCOTUS, and are not going away. Absolutely.
Can't argue with that.
It's a fact.
And then, like I say about the book, I talk a lot about unity in America. And I know to a lot of people, it sounds like a crazy concept. Now, keep in mind, what I'm proposing is not going to happen overnight, okay? It may not happen in 10 years. Maybe it'll happen in 100 years. But at some point, we have to stop and say, look, we're going to do this differently, and we're going to stop letting the government tell us what we can and cannot do with our lives. I mean, we got to stop electing the wrong people first. But at some point, the people have to start taking responsibility for themselves, not finger point everywhere.
First of all, we have to point out how the First Amendment actually applies to people, because
please, let's do that.
People are under the concept that the First Amendment means I can say anything, anywhere, anytime to anyone, whoever I choose. That is not what the First Amendment allows you to do.
It does not.
Okay,
you're right.
In fact, okay.
Yep, I got hold up.
This real quick. There's a point to this, because this goes back to what your book talks about, what my book talks about, what we're trying to get across to people.
Yep.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, I'm going to start with this. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, meaning we are not a Christian nation.
No. And actually, a lot of people don't even realize this, but a lot of the founding fathers were deists.
Yes.
They were into deism, which most people don't know about deism.
Quakers, they were a whole lot of different things, and that was the whole thing. We did not want to be like the country we decided to not be like anymore. Okay. Now, the next part, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay. The freedom of speech in relation to the freedom of press, redressing our grievances. We don't have the right to go out and say anything we want, anytime we want, anywhere we want. We have the right that if we don't like what our government says, we get to say that we don't like what our government says. And it's to say, that things that are happening without, again, any consequences coming from the government.
Here, I have a perfect example of what happens when you abuse freedom of speech. Kanye West. Okay, this is a man who thought he could say whatever he wanted. And I've been saying this, I don't even know for how long. Yes, your speech is free, but your words have consequences. You can't come up to me and insult me to my face and then go, First Amendment. That's not how it works. You know what I mean?
But when you go through the case law, that's not even how it works. Okay, hear me out. When you go through the case law, every time the freedom of speech has been abridged is because it causes harm. Okay. perjury. You can't go up on the stand and lie and persecute somebody, which could affect their life. It's called perjury. Okay? You can't lie. You have to tell the truth. And if you lie, there's supposed to be a consequence for that.
Supposed to be.
Defamation, slander. Okay? Yeah. Again, harm to other people. Everything in case law that represents fighting words, okay? When you cause harm to another, you do not have that right with your words, because that's not part of what freedom of speech means. It first means no harm. The word peaceably is in there. There's a reason that word is in there, because you're not supposed to be harming. If you have a difference of opinion on how something's supposed to be done, you have the right to state that without retribution. But you don't get to go out and call people names. You don't get to go out and cause harm to others with your words, because you don't have that right. It's not protected under the First Amendment.
Right. Well, then we go back to the whole, freedom versus oppression. I mean, you're using your free speech to oppress somebody. And people just don't understand that concept. Yeah, I can say what I want, but you're being an oppressor at the same time with your free speech. It makes no sense.
Yes. And there's a lot of people that, again, I break it down, and you said you had the definition of freedom, okay? I break down the definition of freedom in my book. I believe I do. I can't remember now if I do or not. I believe I do. I got a lot of definitions in my book. Trust me.
I know it's hard to remember it all.
Down in there. Because people think they know something because they've been told that's what it means, versus educating themselves. They've been told what the First Amendment stands for. They've been told what the Second Amendment stands for.
And I've never read it.
The 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 8th, the 10th, the 13th, the 16th, the 15th, the 20th, the 19th. They've been told what they mean. Have you read them?
No. And then, that's another thing I want to, this is kind of away from the amendments, but as far as immigration goes, all you see online is all these people need to come into our country legally. They don't even know how to come in the country legally. You know what I mean? Half the people that I talk to, I've asked people, we get into conversations. I live in a rural area, so I have some weird people around here, but the people I ask about, well, do you know how to come in the country legally? Well, no, you don't. So just shut up. But you're right.
The largest percentage of illegal immigrants get in this country?
Do
you know how they
I don't.
They get in here on a plane.
Yeah.
They come here legally on a visa.
Yeah.
And they overstay their visa. The majority of illegal immigrants are here because they overstayed their visa. And guess what? Most of them are white.
Yeah. But you see, that's the thing that people don't like. I get into arguments with people about immigration because people look at me and see a white person. They don't understand that maybe my mom's from somewhere else. You know what I mean? So people need to stop with the snap. It's gone too far, and I think it's about time some of us stand up and say, you know what, we're not going to let it happen anymore.
We have to criminalize it. Okay?
Well,
criminalize hatred.
Yes.
And I in my book, I wrote a true equal rights amendment. And usually I read the first section on here, the United States and all states will not, basically I break it down to where no one's right will be violated. No one will be discriminated against by the state or the United States based on sex, race, gender, sexual orientation, preference, blah, 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 height, weight, mental and physical state of being, previous condition of servitude, so on and so forth. All right. And then my second section, I make it a felony. Okay. So if you discriminate with intent, then you need to be held accountable.
Yeah. Like to me, seeing Nazi flags in America, that was a snapping point for me because obviously my mom is from Germany, and you know what I mean. She grew up like she was born and during the height of World War II, and she tells me stories about what she had to go through growing up. And to see that in America, that symbol should never be displayed in America without repercussions. I am sorry.
It should be
That is not freedom of speech. That is not freedom of expression. Fuck you. Sorry. That symbol should never be displayed in this country.
right.
Ever.
Here's the thing. It is a portrayal of expression. It shouldn't be a freedom of expression.
Right.
Okay. And again, I always find the words to be important because I think that things that portray hate, it should be constitutionally disallowed. Okay. Because that hatred, again, is usually based in an ignorance.
Yes. And
Right.
I find it amazingly hard to believe how ignorant people still are with literal supercomputers in their pockets. You know what I mean? If I don't understand something, or if I don't understand a word or whatever, if I see something interesting, I pull my phone out and I look it up. I learn about it. I'm not an expert on it, but at least I know a little bit on it. You know what I mean?
Here's where the other problem comes in, though, Jeremy, is that when you Google something and it's by Politico or Wikipedia or something like that, it doesn't necessarily make it true.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
So
I'm not saying it makes it true, but I'm just saying I'm trying to learn.
Right. I'm just saying it involves a deeper research than just looking it up. You have to look for like a .gov or something like
Right.
that. And if you go to a .com or a .org, where did they get their information? And if they don't have that, find another place and find out where they get their information and figure out where the information has come from. Is it biased information? I mean, if you truly want to know something, you're going to have to dig into it.
But it's not as hard as it used to be when we were growing up. Like you don't have to go to the library and pull out a bunch of books and find the right page. You can literally pull your phone out of your pocket and look everything you need to up. You can, if you want to learn about a topic, like you said, you can dig into it until your heart's content. And from your couch, you don't even have to leave your house. We used to have to get on our skateboards, skateboard 5 miles to the library, and then sit there for 10 hours trying to look it up. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we have a powerful tool right now to unite people in America. You know what I mean? If 246 years ago, a handful of people can unite a country on horseback, why can't we do it with all the information and all the technology and all the communications that we have available to us today? The problem is we have too many people trying to do things for a specific group of people and not enough people trying to do something for the collective good of the country.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Right.
It's got to be, I always say on my Twitter feed, you'll see it all the time. I think unity over self. That is my motto. Unity above everything. Okay. The unity of this country. We have to start thinking about the future of the country. We have to start thinking about long-term kids, our grandkids, their grandkids. Can you picture this country right now in the state it's in? Anybody who's listening, tell me you can picture this country still standing in 100 years in its current state. If things don't change from the way they are right now, 100 years, can you possibly, even with the best imagination, I have a hard time imagining a beautiful America right now. And I'm a positive person, and I wrote a book about uniting people. And when you get online today, you see people literally trying to divide one another, and nobody's trying to pull everybody together. Well, maybe it's time for somebody to do it. Okay, maybe it's time for an idiot like me to try it. You know, but I need a voice. I can't do it alone.
This is part of the problem with social media today. Everybody can get like their 15 minutes of fame now. I mean, really think about this. You can go into a space and be a superstar for like 10 minutes. However long they allow you to control the floor, you can be a superstar. And everybody's always looking for that moment of glory, no matter who they hurt.
I've been there, yeah.
All right. And that's part of the problem with it right now is that people are looking for a moment of glory instead of trying to bring other people up. Okay. And this is what I try
yeah.
to do, like with this right here. You know, I try to bring other people up. I want to
Yep.
give everybody I can a voice to be heard. Now, I wrote a political book. I'm a political person, and yet
Mm-hmm.
shows that I've started with on In the Moment are writing
Mm-hmm.
shows and spirituality shows.
Yeah. And even though you and me have a lot of the same views from just talking to one another, people need to know my book is not political. Okay. I mentioned Trump in there just because I hate his guts. I think he's the biggest idiot I've ever seen. And I can't believe they should, they should literally for his portrait, just leave it blank. Okay. Just don't even fucking put a picture in there, man. Just leave it blank. Please. And I'm sorry, but I forgot what I was saying. Oh, my book. It's not political, okay? It's not. It's about coming together. It's about working.
Right, but I hate to say it, Jeremy. That is political right now. It is.
You're right, though. It is. Can you believe unity is a political topic? And there's people that don't want unity. There are people out there that don't want a united America.
Money.
It's insane.
They make money off of it. That again, this is what it comes down to. As I've said before, the oppressor has never been given power. The oppressor has always had to take it.
Yeah.
Okay. And right now, there are a multitude of people that are being oppressed, whether it be by the color of their skin, whether it be by their sexuality, whether it be by their gender. And there's a difference between biological sex and gender, people. And come at me. Go ahead. I'll talk to you about it. There's a difference between religions. There's a difference between so many things. Yet, instead of everybody taking the good from people,
thank you.
They have to point out the things that they don't like. And
everybody does that.
And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what you do at home in your house with your family. That goes back to freedom. You should be able to live the life that you want to live. And what you do in your house is what you do in your house. If you want to be a Catholic, if you want to be an atheist, if you want to be a Mormon, by all means, as long as you don't harm another human being, go for it.
Right. And just because that person is a Catholic or an atheist doesn't mean, because my views are different, that we can't get along. It's just we can't try and shove each other's views down each other's throats. And that's what a lot of people do. Well, you don't see things this way. Well, I'm not going to like you. That's idiotic. It's archaic. Okay, we can't keep thinking like that anymore. We are evolving creatures. We have to continue to evolve forward. Now, our government has got to somehow learn to keep up with the speed of its society. Now, our society continues to move faster. Our government is breaking and moving slower. Right. Now, I'll use the Roman Empire as an example. Okay, the thing that really broke the Romans, that initially started showing cracks in the Roman strength, was they expanded beyond their ability to control the empire. Okay, they wanted to be the greatest in the world. They didn't care how they did it. And they just went. And then all of a sudden, they're starting to lose because they reached too far.
Right.
And that's where I feel like America's almost at right now. Okay, we've tried to be this gigantic example to the world. Now the cracks are starting to show. And I got to say this, okay, because I read a lot of stuff from like BBC and other countries too. We are not looked at well right now.
No.
In the world. We are not. We are a joke right now. Okay. Thanks to people like Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. Oh, God, that idiot that calls himself the alpha male. Tell me, come on. How insecure do you have to be to call yourself the alpha male? Give me a break.
If you have
people like that.
An alpha, you're not an alpha.
No. You got to be about the most insecure person in the world to call yourself an alpha. So anyway, people like that. I mean, we have people out there that are just paid to create chaos and discord amongst the citizens. And I think at the same, like you said, people don't see the good. They see the bad because that's all people keep putting out there. But what if we start putting a lot of good out there? more good than the bad. That's all they're going to see. They're going to start seeing the good once you start. Cause like I'll admit, it's all against me. I started an account on Live Social, and I deleted it. But I would get so angry. Like I realized that the social media I read or what I read throughout the day would manipulate my mood. I'm getting angry about stuff that people are saying that doesn't affect me directly, but I'm so angry about what they're saying. So I deleted that account. And the only reason I went on there is to troll Trump. I actually created that account to try and get suspended. And I slated that guy up and down and didn't even get a warning. But I realized that if people like you recommended starting TikTok, and I will say I love TikTok now. It makes me laugh. It puts me in a good mood. So if I see good things throughout the day, I'm going to feel good. That's going to carry over to when I see somebody else. My good mood now carries over to them. It's contagious. Okay. Just like hate. Hate is contagious. If you're angry and you're in a bad mood and I'm around you, by default, I'm all of a sudden going to get tense and be in a bad mood. Okay. And simple. It's just the way we think. Okay. So maybe it's time for people like you and me and whoever's listening to go out there and be louder than these ignorant assholes that are dragging this country down. Okay. Somebody's got to stand up and say enough is enough. Okay. I personally I just recently got involved in politics, but I don't consider myself a political person. I would like to think that the best candidate should get the job, but that's not the case in American democracy. It's a popularity contest on who spends the most money. That's all it is.
Yep.
And it's just gotta. I know there's people out there like us, man. I know there is, and they're quiet. They're quiet. We're usually the quiet ones.
Actually, they're not. You need.
They're not anymore.
When you see me in a space, come into the space.
Okay.
Because I go into a lot of spiritual spaces. I go into a lot of writer spaces. I even go into some Stoic philosophical spaces, and I go into my political spaces. Okay. You need a mixture. If you spend all day in one forum,
yes,
there's going to be drama, there's going to be chaos, and you're going to get caught up in it. If you start going into a lot of these different things, okay, and as long as things are going nice and smooth and good, that's where you want to be for that moment, because that's going to brighten your day.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Evans, who's on a lot of my other shows, she holds writer spaces.
Mm-hmm.
She does writer sprints and writer chats, and we go in there and we write and we read some of our work and stuff like that. And that is what gives me joy. I get to sit back and relax and write.
Yeah.
Then I go into the spiritual room and all that. I think if this is the same Eileen that holds other realms that's on here, she holds a great space.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we talk about politics. Sometimes we talk about spiritual things. Sometimes we talk about ghosts. Again, you listen to other people and the things that they've experienced, and you don't have to be a believer. You don't have to be a whatever and all that. But
no.
You go in and you listen to people's stories, and they're heartfelt, and it brings you joy.
Yeah. And it does.
Yeah, and the Stoic spaces, again, Bryce, Stoic Bryce, you need to follow him.
I did.
Okay, he's got these Stoic spaces. He goes in there, and right now he's going over Marcus Aurelius's meditations, and it helps you figure things out in life that you may be having problems with. And again, other things that might be, wow, I never looked at it that way. Maybe I need to look at my life in this way now. Again, it gives you joy. It gives you happiness. It makes you think about things. But if all you do is you stick on Fox or CNN or MSNBC all day and you look at all the propaganda and the bullshit and the fucktard fucking bullshit.
Yes, thank you.
You're going to be an angry person.
Yes, thank you.
Because it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. When you're listening to that, it's all hatred
Mhm.
towards the other side.
It is. It's completely biased no matter which way you look at it. I mean, you have to these days you have to form your own opinion. You have to look
Right.
at all the information that's available and form your own opinion. Don't let somebody manipulate you into being afraid or you know what I mean. Use your head. Just calm down. People like I talk about fear a lot in my book because I didn't realize that a lot of my life I was afraid and I made a lot of snap decisions based on fear. And I think some of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life were because I was afraid at the time. I didn't know I was afraid at the time, but I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are just afraid right now and they're making terrible choices and nobody's leading them in the right direction. You know what I mean? Maybe it's time. There's got to be a way we can make this work. I believe it in my heart. Like in my book, I talk about everything from racism to the environment to, I mean, just the silly laws that are still in place from a long time ago. And I used, you know, I mean, you guys, anybody see my Twitter feed, you guys know I'm a big goofball too. I think humor is the big key to life, to a good life.
Yeah.
Laughing. I mean, I might talk about a lot of serious stuff in my book, but I mix in humor with it because we can't be serious all the time, guys. You got to take life a little bit less serious. I mean, yes, there's some serious stuff going on, but it's not as bad as the media would lead you to believe. Okay, you're not going to go outside of your house and get shot. You're not going to go to Walmart and get shot. Yes, that stuff happens, but they make it seem like it's going to happen at every single Walmart you walk into. Okay, the fear has got to stop. We need to have voices out there saying, "Look, don't listen to them. Just calm down." Nobody's saying calm down. You know what I mean? But I would love to see a politician get on TV. I'd love to see Biden get on TV and be like, all right, everybody, just calm the fuck down for a second. You know what I mean? I would respect this. I would fight for Biden 10 times over if he would just say that. You know what I mean? But nobody's doing that. All we're doing is perpetuating the anger, perpetuating the fear, and it's turning this country inside out. And I would love to think that I can improve this country somehow. That's what the book is about. I want to show people, and you'll know from chapter 1 everything about me because I figured the only way I could unite people and make people listen to me is show them who I really am. And that is what chapter 1 is about. Dirty details, nasty shit I've done, the mistakes I've made in my life because I've lived a regular American life. I'm not a bad person. I've done horrible things before in my past, but I'm still a good person. You know what I mean? And I can do good things. And it took me a while to realize that my past is my past. I don't have to live my past. And I think a lot of people allow traumatic situations, drug abuse, other things that come along in their life to dictate the terms of the rest of their lives.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to push back a little bit, okay?
Go ahead, please.
That past that you lived, didn't that mold you and make you the person you are today?
It absolutely did. It absolutely did.
So I agree that we need to quit living in the past, but we always have to look back at the past so we don't make the same mistakes again.
Yes. I guess I should have added that. You do have to come to terms with the past.
There you go. You got to come
you have to say, look, I did these things. Yes, I did this, but I don't have to do it again, ever.
Bingo.
You know what I mean? You can make a decision right now to be a better person. And I made this decision February 20, 2021, that I was going to write this book. I was going to live what I say, and I was going to be a better person. I've sacrificed everything to put this book out. I've lost jobs. I have no money. My car got repossessed 2 months ago just to put this book out, okay? Because I believe that unity in this country is possible. And I think we have to start now before it's too late.
And that right there speaks volumes because I was at a point in my life with my wife and I, we were at a point where we've got nothing else to lose, and I sunk everything into my book. I did the same thing, sunk everything, my heart and soul into it. And that's what I'm doing today. I am, being a voice, getting people out there, bringing other voices together. And if we're going to create that unity, that's what we do right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know people think
are right here. There's the beginning of unity. Eileen,
absolutely.
and she already said, yes, it's me. I go into her spaces. Oh my God. She runs one of the best spaces on Twitter.
I have to check it out.
And like I said, it's other realms, and she goes into a lot of different topics. And the people that come in there's Wild Eyes, there's Raffy Laffy, just a whole bunch of us that come in there. Sometimes we shoot the shit and bullshit. Sometimes we tell stories. Sometimes we tell feel good things and stuff like that. It's all about positive vibes.
Absolutely.
And the more people like that you connect with, Jeremy, the more people you're going to connect with in other spaces, and the more people you're going to connect with.
I'm new to all this, man. This is all new to me.
My audience has become vast. When I started on Twitter, when my publisher said, Paul, you got to get on Twitter, I was already on Twitter. I only followed one person.
Yeah, I started this account at the end of May.
Donald Trump.
Just a troll.
Because I wanted to see what kind of BS rhetoric he was going to throw out for the day. You know, that kind of gave me the inspiration, because he's who inspired me to write the book. When he said there was very fine people on both sides, I said, Oh
my God. Yeah, I about threw my remote through the television when I heard that shit.
If you're a hater, you are not a very fine person. You're
not a good person. You're a terrible person. You should be exiled from this country.
So when you condone evil behavior as being very fine, then you are not a good person.
No,
so I wrote my book.
You know what? Donald Trump is the reason I got into politics and wrote this book, because I couldn't take it anymore. I was for 4 years, watched this guy completely fuck this country into a coma. You know what I mean? He's destroyed. We have a beautiful country. I mean, we literally do. And we are letting it be eaten away by rich corporate assholes.
Yep. Now,
they are ruining it.
I'm going to do a little pushback here. It's not so much pushback, but more of a statement.
Yes, please.
Even though Donald Trump is a symptom, a sickness in the disease, you have to remember all these things that are happening now were happening before.
Yeah, he just made it. He made it so people were.
He gave them a voice.
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to think about this. I think what has happened to the country is a good thing. Now, hear me out. Here's why I say it's a good thing. Because if we wouldn't have had Donald Trump, we wouldn't have known how bad it truly is.
Thank you.
In this country. Now we do. And now we know it. We have to fix it. Because
I've even tweeted about this. Yeah.
If we do not fix it, it will get worse. And I know a lot of people are thinking, hey, the Biden administration, it held on to the Senate. It defied history. We still are close in the House. We can still get some things done. It's done. We can relax now. No, we can't relax.
I'm glad you said that.
We got to still be fucking mad. We got to still be fucking angry, because this country is still going to shit, and we got a lot of work to do.
We do, and we have to put the work in. People have to be willing. There's got to be a common thread that we can hold on to, man. There's got to be, and that's why I keep saying unity. Unity is the key. It is absolutely the key. And I'm glad you said that about Donald Trump, because I think in order for my life to change, like I was in a very dark place before I wrote this book. And in order for me to change, a massive occurrence had to happen, almost a shock to the system, so to speak. And I think Donald Trump was America's shock to the system. If we control it, if we let it get out of hand, it's going to destroy this country. If we use this momentum to look, you see what happens when you let people like this run the country. How about we try something new? And that's pretty much what I propose in my book. I'm not the expert on anything, but I know there's got to be a better way out there, and there's people that can make that happen. But in order for us to do that, the people with the ideas that don't have the opportunities need to be able to hook up with the people that have the opportunities and the means to help. You know what I mean? Because I would love to just help people on a massive scale. I really would. But how can I do that sitting at home, barely making enough to get through one single day with, being a single dad and having my mom at the house take care of 2 dogs? But I can't help anybody. I can barely help myself right now. But I would love to be in a position to be able to help just tons of people, directly. I'm not talking about, I have ideas, the ridiculous ideas. Like I have an idea for, all right, fine, whatever, I'll throw it out there. I have an idea for a nonprofit clothing company called Freedom with a question mark at the end, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where the profits of the clothing company go to help families trying to become American citizens. Because most people don't know this, but if you're not born in America, freedom is not fucking free. It's expensive. And it takes years usually to get to be an American citizen. Okay. By the time somebody becomes an American citizen, they know more about America than most Americans.
Yeah.
Okay.
That system,
Yeah.
We have to change that system also, because that system itself is broken.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I've talked to people online. The one guy's wife, it cost him like $4,000 in almost 4 years just to become an American citizen. And it wasn't like, I don't even know why. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's average everyday people.
John Oliver did an episode on that. I think it took John Oliver, it's like 12 years or 20 years or something like that to become an American citizen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once you become an American citizen,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Once you become an American, you're an American. You have every right that every other American has, and people need to get that through their heads. You know what I mean? Once you're an American citizen, like I think we should still be the country that you go to for freedom. I think that's what we should promote. Like, why is that a bad thing? Why is it bad that we have other people looking to us to give them a better life? We should be honored that people want to come here to have a better life. You know what I mean? Especially when most of us can't even have a lot of people that come to this country come from conditions that we can't even fathom. You know what I mean? So they come to America and they're just happy to have a roof over their heads, a job, being able to feed their family, because that was a struggle where they're from. But we have people in this country that don't even appreciate what they have. You know what I mean? And we have people fighting to come here to get what we have.
Yeah.
We should be helping them, not turning them away. If they're not danger to the society, if they're not, a convicted murderer or rapist or whatever, if they're just an average, say, I'll just use Mexico, for example, because my ex-wife's family's from there. If they're from Mexico, they're an average citizen, they're not a criminal, they're no threat to society, why can't they become American citizens? Why shouldn't they become American citizens?
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody has a right to freedom, and we're supposed to be the goddamn country that gives it to them.
Right. I know. It's in our Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. Okay? We don't have that.
No.
Okay? We don't have that. And
you know what?
Go
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, I looked this up. You know what the first condition to get naturalization, you know what the first condition is? You have to prove permanent residence, which means you have to fucking be in the country first before you can apply for naturalization.
It's kind of like a homeless person trying to get off the streets and all that and try to get a job, okay? And I've had a lot of discussions with people on this, because it's just like homeless people are just lazy. They need to get a job.
No,
guess what? To get a job, you have to have a permanent address.
Yeah, where they're going to send your paychecks to.
You're homeless, so how do you get a job that requires a permanent address? Oh, well, get a post office box. Okay, what do you have to get a post office box? A permanent address. There are laws written to keep the homeless.
Yeah, how are they supposed to get in touch with them? How are they supposed to?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And people, and I hate answers like that when people say that stuff. Oh, they should just get a job. Well, it's not that easy. Okay, you don't have any clue what that, because I've been very briefly homeless. Okay, it's not fun. It wasn't voluntary. You know what I mean?
Twice.
Yeah, it wasn't voluntary. It was my own fault, but it wasn't like I was happy being homeless. Like I did everything I could. It was exponentially harder to get back on track after I had made the mistakes. You know what I mean? Because society kept kicking me backwards.
Yeah.
Because once like I said, go back.
Yep. The first
go
time
back to labels,
and the second time due to loss of employment. So yeah,
there are conditions. There are things that you don't know about that people go through, and you need to understand. Next time, maybe you see a homeless person, assuming they're not crazy. If they're screamed at themselves, don't talk to them. I've had conversations with people before, random people. You know what I mean? I've even offered rides to people walking down the streets before that I know are homeless. Because I mean, it's a small city. We have the same homeless people everywhere. You know them after a while.
right. Yeah.
We even give them nicknames. You know. Yeah. But it's got to come a time where compassion and empathy replaces fear and hate. And I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give people hope. I want to do something good with my life, and I know I'm trying to sell books, but this isn't about the book for me, man. It's not. This is about this country and trying to make this better. Okay, I can't keep.
Your empathetic side is coming out, and you want everyone. You basically just want everyone to love each other, get along, and let's move forward together.
And I know that sounds like a fairy tale concept, but it is possible. It's literally just a damn choice. Okay, you need to make a choice. What kind of a country you want? Okay. Now, wherein lies the problem is that you're going to have assholes making ridiculous choices that are not beneficial to the American people. They're going to just make choices that are beneficial for themselves.
Yep.
So, but at some point, and like I said, there's got to be a jumping off point. There has to be a starting line for this movement. Okay, we'll call it a movement of unity. Okay. To me, the book for me is step one. If I could have the loudest voice possible, I would scream at the top of my lungs until people get it through their heads that what you're doing is wrong. And I am a Jedi at passive aggressive. The one thing I love to do is make ignorant people feel stupid. And usually, and I hate to say that, but a lot of times you need to embarrass somebody to make them go, oh my God. And then they'll think about it. You might not know they're thinking about it, but once you shock somebody like that, they're going to go home and go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that to me. Why did you say that? Well, you know, I mean, you gotta somehow get through to people, even the ignorant ones. I mean, we need everybody. That's what unity is about, everybody. And I know it's hard to say unity when you have groups like MAGA and Ultra MAGA, which,
but most of them are just, again, they've fallen for the propaganda.
They are, and they're going to look. We don't even have to make them look stupid because once Trump goes down, they're going down with him, and they're just going to be.
You got to remember, first of all, it's human nature. No one likes to admit they're wrong.
Right. Exactly.
And no one wants to feel the shame of being wrong. Okay.
Right, but it is necessary. If you're wrong, somebody needs to make sure they know they're wrong, and they need to feel it, not just hear it. They need to feel it.
And that's where maturity comes in. The mature person, the wise person, stoic person can admit to being wrong.
And it took me a long time for me to, but I will admit right away if I'm wrong. Like if you call me out on something, I will apologize right away. You know what I mean? I'm not going to argue my point if I realize I'm wrong. And I think a lot of people need to do the same thing. Like admitting you're wrong is not a bad thing. You're human.
I know.
You're human. We all are wrong all the time.
Exactly.
even when we're right, we're wrong, depending on if you're married or not. But you know what I mean? Like it's
I
put that in there. I'm sorry.
When you're married,
even when you're right, you're wrong.
He's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Go ahead. I know
we're up on the hour, Paul.
I know.
Being here for this hour, I have to go. Thank you, Eileen, for being here. I'm going to finish out with a poem here. Okay.
Thank you.
The poem's called "The Effect." Beware, beware political propaganda. Commentary, literary brain cloud, stronghold. Unaware without care, you know me as stand up. Scare, dare, unfair, prelude to a memoranda. Writing, fighting decisions by the old, the bold. Beware, beware, communist propaganda. Glare by their lair, confronting propaganda. Citing, highlighting, denying lies being told. Unaware without care, you know me as Skanda. Snare, pair, unbreathable air with no Miranda. Smiting, designing, defending why hot is cold. Beware, beware, socialist propaganda. Blair, rare, red, white, and blue on the grand veranda, yelling, screaming, hurting those not forming the mold. Unaware, without care, you know me as Skanda. Be aware and never swear by the red panda. Critical thinking, leaning to leaving the fold. Beware, beware, capitalist propaganda. Unaware,
Nice.
now you care. You know me as Skanda.
Sorry, Cuddles had to get in the picture here.
Oh, that's all right. I love the pups.
Absolutely. She got to get her 5 minutes of fame too, right?
Yep.
Right in the mouth. Thank
My
you.
pup. Where's my
Right?
pup?
But hey, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Come here. Come on, let's show everybody who you are. You don't get up here on the lives. This is my little one. This is my
Look, oh, puppy. There's a puppy.
Oh, look at the pup. All right. Yeah.
I feel like this is an awkward. Like dogs are trying to talk to each other on tour.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, though. I appreciate it.
Thank you again. I appreciate you coming on here. Make sure that you join us in more of the spaces.
Yes, I will.
On there talking about things. Again, we're gonna have to get you on more of the shows. Thank you again. And remember, everybody, be kind, be happy, and may good things come your way. Thank you.